See, it's all about purple when it comes to purple pimping Willie. Stand up, baby. Stand up. See, you looking at a pimp that done came from the bottom? Stand in front of me. And now I'm at the top. Catch it. It's purple. Pimpin' Willie.
If it ain't purple.
God damn it, it ain't Willie.
So whatever pimp decided to do, you know what I'm saying, that's on him.
Oh, yeah.
Now, cross country and around the world, you may get looked at different. Like, you know, niggas in New York, if they just see me with that Muslim hat on and that Ultima with that 9mm, they was like, this nigga ain't got no pimping with him. You know what I mean? They probably ran me off the blade and went to fuck with me.
But now, I know them pimps have hoes on the track and had bitches that go in the bank.
When you said go in the bank, what you mean?
Go in the bank
and bust them notes, them checks?
Yeah.
Oh, man, ain't nothing wrong with
It's
that.
all about the money.
Just as long as you ain't going to jail.
Oh, no, that's right.
Yeah. So that's how I was taught. I was taught,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, man.
No, you don't go
it's
to jail.
ING. It's pimping.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nerd Chronicles with your host, the socially awkward nerd, Christian Paul speaking. Coming to you live once again in the city of Sosua, Dominican Republic, home of passport tricking and passport pimping. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So, and speaking with the pimping, we got a crazy update, crazy news story that's coming out of Washington State, Bellevue, Washington to be specific, in which you got a recent pimp, okay, that has been sentenced for 35 years, mainly for following the Andrew Tate method and actually idolizing gangster rappers during their pimping days. You know what I'm saying? So they got him based off the force, fraud, coercion method, you know, based off human trafficking, you know, SA, all these things. They hummed him up for 45 years. And it's going to be very interesting actually digging into that example and actually learning on what not to do when dealing with a type of situation like this. Juicy! So ladies and gentlemen, we have this news clip from Como News 4 up in the Seattle area, in which the title is Bellevue Pimp Sentenced to 35 years for human trafficking after boasting on social media. And for those of you who don't know where Bellevue is, let me try and make sure we get the information that's here. See, Washington State. This is part of the Seattle suburbs. All right. So I definitely want to let the general public know in regards to this matter. We're going to see this hardcore local pimp, okay? And I'm going to tell you the history of mainly pimping, you know. They lure the women in, think it's going to be like the Lesser Slap, but whenever, you know, they do a little bit of prostitution and get themselves piped down for money, you know, the pimp don't actually give the woman the actual fair cut, and that's what can trigger, you know, the force, fraud, coercion that could literally trigger a human trafficking charge. And if she rebels and, you know, he acts a fool, throwing hands on her, he also get hit with a sexual assault charge as well in regards with this. So let's go dig into this new clip here, ladies and gentlemen. This is not really going to take long. This is a 3-minute news clip. We're going to see what the fuck is mainly happening up in these streets.
Molly and Preston, Bellevue police say this all started out as a routine patrol call where a couple of officers thought something didn't quite look right. That led to prosecutors saying they were able to take down a vicious pimp who was abusing a woman and selling her for sex work while keeping the money for himself.
Juicy! That's what got him. Because homeboy's too selfish. He don't even know how to pay his people right. And that's what it's at. That's how his ass got. And this right here, this is the pimp. You know what I'm saying? Being too flamboyant, being too arrogant, you know, as usual. But I know he's trying to emulate the playbook of Snoop Dogg, Pat Bishop, Don Magic Juan, you know what I'm saying? Andrew Tate. You feel me? this it will never, ever get on Mr. Don Magic Wand's level in regards to that.
So trying to tell me leave alone? On social media, it's trying to tell me leave money alone. Cedric Dorsey painted himself as a pimp. Why I'm a pimp? With money, swagger, and influence.
Yeah, this nigga, this fool, this ninja is literally losing his mind. His arrogance and his self-snitching are a big reason why he's currently in jail right now.
That's CCC 333.
But investigators say,
As Jason said, that's what it means by CCC 333. That's the code word.
his lifestyle was built by forced sex work, as Dorsey
Forced foreign coercion.
trafficked a woman into prostitution in Seattle, Bellevue, Kent, and Las Vegas. It all came undone in 2024 when Bellevue police responded to a domestic violence call involving Dorsey and his victim.
They listened to what that victim was telling them and realized things were just adding up for her and what she was saying, and that she was in a very dangerous situation.
Bellevue Police Major Ellen Inman says patrol officers noticed signs of trafficking and called detectives.
When you ask them questions, they're answering repeatedly in these kind of scripted or answers that sound like they're rehearsed. When they served the search warrant on his premise, they recovered $12,000 in cash, along with those 3 firearms, one of which was stolen, and a banned firearm.
King County prosecutors hit Dorsey with charges of human trafficking, promoting prostitution, and unlawful possession of a firearm.
We see very significant violence, strangulation, beatings, assaults.
Prosecutor Brayla McGinnis tried Dorsey's case where his own social media posts were used as evidence, including this one about the 304 oath.
304 oath, every trap I pass is by choice. I blame you for what I allow. There's other options. I have to pay a stop sign. I'm a volunteer, not a victim. I respect it on the street code. I would never involve police in my business. I could walk away whenever. But the manipulation, the forced foreign coercion can have a woman mainly trapped in this. You know what I'm saying? If they do walk away, then the pimp starts to resist. They throw them out to the curb. They make some threats that you're trying to become narcissistic in the hopes that that woman is able to stay. You know what I'm saying? And you can't really force somebody, even if it's like a loved one or a friend, you can't force somebody that you're trying to get them out, get their ass out of the game, unless it's in them, that particular person. They want to come out and they find safe in themselves to actually get out of that terrible situation. Okay? So this, looking at it, is literally nonsense, because these pimps don't even follow the oaths that they actually get by. You know what I'm saying? Even they try to walk away, whatever, you don't pay them right. You don't give them any leverage. You try and give them the option to make thorough decisions. You trying to hold them up at ransom. This is why he got Cedric here. Got with human trafficking.
Where prostitutes promise not to cooperate with police and say they aren't victims.
One of the biggest rules of the game is not to talk to police. It is that idea of selling the dream, right? Saying, I have these nice things. If you come with me, you can have all of this, right? And when you're talking to someone who has had a very rough upbringing or a very troubled life, that's the vulnerability that they exploit.
That's the way I look at social media and the use of different ways that people advertise their criminal activity, is that if you make it available for the Bellevue Police Department in this case to access and use as part of our lawful investigation, then that's what we will do.
After being found guilty at trial this spring, Dorsey is now starting a 35-year prison sentence.
We were able to take a very dangerous criminal off the street and hold him accountable for his actions.
All right. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is made a consequence of actually obtaining your pimpin' hoes degree. PhD, if you will, not Dr. Philosophy, because that's a different subject, but we're talking about pimpin' hoes degree that Andrew Tate has formed. Okay? And it's not just really that. It's slightly a part of it, but he got that game with all that pimp game from some stuff they've seen up in mafia movies, gangster rap stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's how he moves the way he moves today. And Cedric here followed the same path, and now sadly and tragically, his ass is literally stuck for 35 years, at least. Now in closing, do you still want to live that pimp lifestyle and drink so much of that pimp juice? You know what I'm saying? Idolize the likes of Snoop, Andrew Tate, the Top G, Don Magic One, okay? You want to try to idolize them guys, but live that hardcore pimp lifestyle, okay? Just like with Cat Williams next Friday. Alright? You feel me? So, this is the unfortunate consequences of what can happen if you choose to continue that path, just like Cedric has took, just like Andrew has took. You know what I'm saying? If you don't get yourself out the game and find other ways to market that you make business off with the woman that you have and pay them fairly, you get got just like him. Alright? That is just like some street level fraud pimping, okay? Actual pimping is when you actually run a business full of women, you know what I'm saying? They do whatever they want. They have the little OnlyFans stuff with their consent. If you want an OnlyFans with a bunch of hot models, adult porn stars, you get a lot of folks relief, and actually get them relieved of blue balls, having them plastic cum all over the milk and having drain loads upon loads of cum, mainly all over the room and all over the floor. Okay? That's what you want, where they actually start paying up their business and paying up their women, and a woman actually gives a good permission to check. That's pimping. You know what I'm saying? Pimping is attaining your education as best you can, doing the best that you can in your craft, loving to do what you do while advancing in further stages of your life. That's pimping. Pimping is when you do a trade, make it both based off a skill, you graduate, and now you're able to actually afford a lot of things, actually make a profit while doing some real estate, whether it's blue collar, white collar. And I'm going to lay that back there as I discuss with the education part when it comes to school and getting the masters. Okay? That's real pimp. You know what I'm saying? Making that profit off of folks, investing in property that actually impact communities, impact the women there, impact the sex workers there, scrambled eggs workers. You know what I'm saying? Impacting people in the adult entertainment industry, trying to get their fix. You pay them right, it's going to be a real pimping deal. But not many of these dimwits actually doing their little hardcore pimping on the street, with the prostitutes out here actually begging for cash up in the streets. And I've seen some prostitutes up in the DR, mind you. I've seen them in the sewer during the nighttime. I know what I'm talking about. Okay? You deal with these types of things, you will risk your freedom when doing so. Okay? So again, worry about doing with your education so that you learn how to actually manage life and actually grab it by the nuts. Okay? Make sure you're trying to worry about finances and real estate so that you can try to get as little as you can, so you'll be able to actually create another strip club or another side environment where you'll be able to bring all the adult entertainers and definitely all the women that actually want to come by and experience something like this towards the men that are the pre as many times as they want, while you make the majority of the profits. And I'm going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't going to lie, the trip in the DR and I came by a family reunion and all that really just really wore me out. And I got one more day to go before I unfortunately return to New York that following Thursday morning at the time of this recording. So, with that, Chris Paul from Nerd Chronicles is sign out. Deuces. Yep.
Guys don't have to work as hard as we did. All they got to do is put something on the internet and bam, they're a millionaire overnight. IG and Facebook, it accelerates everything. So a lot of these young people, they can make $10,000 in OnlyFans in millimeter seconds. Whereas back in the day, in our era and time, if you was a pimp, you had to prove yourself as a pimp. You had to really have game. And then human trafficking, which has nothing to do with pimping. A lot of brothers went to jail trying to be like me, trying to be pimps, trying to be fly, trying to have hoes and shit. And so, if you look at today's time and you look at our time, we had it a little bit better because we had to worry about human trafficking. You get caught with a girl in a strip club, that's human trafficking. If you mess with a minor, that's human trafficking. If you knock a bitch for me and that bitch is already in the game, they gonna charge both of us for that bitch and get both of us human trafficking. So on one side, it's good. On another side, you know,